Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the ages, uncovering the secrets of our collective past. Today, we find ourselves at the threshold of a monumental tale, one that would forever alter the fabric of a nation, the Transcontinental Railroad. This marvel of engineering, a steel serpent stretching across the vast expanse of America, was more than just a feat of technology. It was a testament to human ingenuity, perseverance, and the unrelenting pursuit of progress. In the early 19th century, the United States was a nation in flux, its territorial boundaries expanding rapidly through the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 and the Mexican-American War of 1846 to 1848. The young republic's insatiable appetite for growth and exploration had created a pressing need for efficient transportation systems, capable of bridging the daunting distances between the East and West Coasts. One of the key figures who would play a pivotal role in shaping this vision was Dr. Hartwell Carver, a physician and entrepreneur with an unyielding passion for railroads. In 1832, Carver had proposed the construction of a transcontinental railroad, envisioning a route that would span from the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean. Although his idea was met with skepticism by many, it nonetheless sparked a national conversation about the potential benefits and challenges of such an ambitious project. As the years passed, the notion of a transcontinental railroad continued to gain momentum, fueled in part by the writings of Asa Whitney, a charismatic engineer who had witnessed the transformative power of railroads firsthand during his travels in England. In 1845, Whitney presented a comprehensive plan for a transcontinental railroad to Congress, advocating for a route that would follow the Oregon Trail and terminate in the San Francisco Bay Area. Though his proposal was ultimately rejected, it helped to galvanize public support for the idea, paving the way for future generations of engineers, politicians, and entrepreneurs who would strive to turn this vision into reality. The 1849 California Gold Rush, which drew thousands of prospectors to the West Coast, further underscored the need for a reliable and efficient transportation system. As the population of California swelled, the difficulties of traversing the continent by land or sea became increasingly apparent, with many travelers facing treacherous journeys that could last months or even years. It was against this backdrop of growing demand and technological innovation that the concept of a transcontinental railroad began to take shape, driven by the collective efforts of visionaries, engineers, and politicians who were determined to forge a new path across America. In the midst of this ferment, a young engineer named Theodore Judah emerged as a key player in the development of the Transcontinental Railroad. Born in 1826, Judah had grown up with a passion for railroads, working on various projects throughout his youth before becoming fascinated with the idea of a transcontinental line. In 1857, he presented a detailed survey of a potential route to the American Society of Civil Engineers, arguing that a railroad could be built across the Sierra Nevada mountains using a combination of tunnels, bridges, and gradual inclines. Though his proposal was met with initial skepticism, Judah's unwavering dedication to the project would eventually earn him recognition as one of the foremost experts on the subject, laying the groundwork for the monumental undertaking that was soon to come. As Theodore Judah's expertise gained recognition, he became a key consultant for the newly formed Central Pacific Railroad, which had been granted a charter by the state of California to build the western portion of the Transcontinental Line. In 1861, Judah conducted a thorough survey of the Sierra Nevada mountains, identifying a feasible route for the railroad that would involve constructing tunnels and bridges to traverse the treacherous terrain. His findings were presented to the Central Pacific's Board of Directors, who were impressed by his meticulous research and convinced of the project's viability. Meanwhile, the Civil War had broken out in the East, and the federal government was eager to promote unity and economic development through infrastructure projects. In 1862, Congress passed the Pacific Railroad Act, which authorized the construction of a transcontinental railroad and provided generous land grants and financing to support the endeavor. The act designated the Union Pacific Railroad to build the eastern portion of the line, while the Central Pacific would construct the western segment. The two companies would meet at a point to be determined later, marking the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. As the Union Pacific began constructing its line westward from Omaha, Nebraska, it faced numerous challenges, including harsh weather conditions, hostile Native American tribes, and difficult terrain. The company's chief engineer, Grenville Dodge, oversaw the construction of the line, which progressed steadily despite these obstacles. On October 26, 1863, the Union Pacific completed its first 100 miles of track, a milestone that marked the beginning of a long and arduous journey across the Great Plains. In the West, the Central Pacific faced its own set of challenges, including the formidable Sierra Nevada mountains. In January 1863, the company began constructing a tunnel at Donner Summit, which would prove to be one of the most difficult engineering feats of the entire project. The tunnel, known as the Summit Tunnel, required the excavation of over 1,600 feet of solid granite, a task that took nearly 15 months to complete. As Chinese laborers toiled in the harsh conditions, they developed innovative techniques for blasting and excavating rock, which would become crucial to the project's success. In the summer of 1865, the Union Pacific's line reached the Kansas-Colorado border, where it encountered its first major obstacle, the Rocky Mountains. The company's engineers designed a series of steep grades and curves to navigate the rugged terrain, but progress was slow due to the challenging conditions. Meanwhile, the Central Pacific continued to push eastward, completing its own section of track through the Sierra Nevada mountains. On June 4, 1865, the company completed the Summit Tunnel, marking a major milestone in the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. As the two companies drew closer together, they began to coordinate their efforts more closely. In October 1866, representatives from the Union Pacific and Central Pacific met at the Utah-Nevada border to discuss the final stages of construction. They agreed to meet at a point called Promontory Summit, where the two lines would be joined, marking the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. The meeting was a significant moment in the history of the project, as it marked the beginning of the end of the long and difficult journey to connect the east and west coasts by rail. With the meeting point established, both companies accelerated their construction efforts. The Union Pacific pushed westward with renewed vigor, completing over 300 miles of track in just 6 months. The Central Pacific, meanwhile, focused on completing its own section of line, which included a series of challenging tunnels and bridges through the Utah desert. As the two companies approached Promontory Summit, they began to prepare for the historic meeting that would mark the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. As the two companies approached Promontory Summit, the excitement was palpable. On May 10, 1869, the Union Pacific's locomotive, Number E 119, and the Central Pacific's locomotive, Jupiter, faced each other on the completed track. The ceremony that followed was a momentous occasion, marking the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. Leland Stanford, the Central Pacific's president, hammered in the final golden spike, symbolizing the union of the East and West Coasts by rail. This monumental achievement was met with jubilation across the nation, as people recognized the profound impact it would have on the country's economy, politics, and culture. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad had far-reaching consequences, transforming the United States into a unified and interconnected nation. As historian Stephen Ambrose noted, the railroad was the first thing that tied the country together, that made it possible to think of the United States as one country. The railroad facilitated the growth of industries such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing, while also enabling the rapid movement of goods, services, and people across the continent. It played a crucial role in shaping the nation's development, from the expansion of cities to the settlement of the American West. In the years that followed, the Transcontinental Railroad continued to evolve and improve, with advancements in technology and infrastructure. The railroad companies expanded their networks, establishing new routes and connections that further solidified the country's transportation system. The railroad also had a profound impact on the environment, as the increased accessibility of the American West led to the exploitation of natural resources and the displacement of Native American tribes. Today, the Transcontinental Railroad is remembered as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. It stands as a symbol of American progress and innovation, a reminder of the power of collaboration and determination. The Transcontinental Railroad's legacy can be seen in the modern transportation systems that crisscross the nation, as well as in the economic and cultural ties that bind the country together. It was a project that required vision, courage, and sacrifice, but ultimately transformed the United States into the powerful and interconnected nation it is today. In the words of a contemporary observer, the railroad is not only a means of transportation, but a bond of union, a tie that binds the country together and a symbol of the progress and prosperity of the American people. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.